Monsieur Wave.
Yo, apply. Yo, luta do de. Luta mënuloo jël moto nga andil ma xaalis. Hello?
Bësal mu fay.
What?
Bësal mu fine.
Oh, yes!
Wave acts in Gambia. Deposit and withdraw money, pay bills, and buy mobile credit without fees. Transfer money wherever in the country for only 1% fee. At Wave, Bësal mu fine. Wave, your money is yours.
Jar Oil. The company have filling stations across the country, and our rates are relatively cheaper than anyone else across the country. Jar Oil is the biggest producer and distributor of cement in the country with the most competitive prices in the market.
In the Gambia, we all move to different paces. Time is money, convenience is power, and now both are in your hands. No more long lines, no more late payments, no more missed chances, not anymore. Because now the Gambia has its own super app, Zap. One app, one tap, endless convenience. Send money instantly, pay your bills in seconds, shop without borders, pay your rides, order your meal, buy your ticket, deposit and withdraw money for absolutely free. No extra charges, no hidden fees, only on Zap Super App. This is not just convenience. This is confidence. This is the future in your hands. And the best part, Zap is born right here. Built for us, designed for every Gambian home, every Gambian dream. So don't wait in the past. Step into the future. Download Zap today on App Store and Play Store and enjoy endless free services. Call us today on our toll-free number 1666 or on 260-0001. Zap. All in one. All for you. Tap in. Zap in.
The 1st of December, and you're with Coffee Time with Peter Gomez live on 92.1 FM online, www.wcr.gm. This morning we are with Ousainou Bobb. He's the spokesperson of, I like spokesman, but these days they say, well, spokesman is not politically correct. Huh? So we say spokesperson. I struggle to say spokesperson. Anyway, he's the spokesperson of APP Sobeya. How does corruption affect ordinary Gambians, from the small businessman, businesswoman, to the farmer? We were just talking about the farm gate price for groundnuts, at the top of the program. So how does corruption affect me, affect our Jaju, who is a videographer, right down to the farmer?
Right, we are all victims of it.
Come on.
So we are all victims. Even in the diaspora, like as a political actor, we have to rely on fundraising. And I will tell you that people are struggling because what you need £200 a month for sustenance, now you send it £400. There is rising cost of living, rising cost of everything. But if in the specific context of corruption, it all stems down to the allocation of the meager resources that this country have.
I'll be talking about allocation tomorrow. So this is an opportunity now to help us understand, how this allocation is important.
So the Damade always wonder, the basic foundation of knowledge is why. The word why. And why? Why? So kubuga am ham, just arm yourself with that word. Aglula nit muntikawa, just ask why. Muton to why. Eventually, if the theory is logical, it will fall into place. If the theory is not logical, it will not fall into place. Now, the why question here is how does our budgets jump from $18 billion in 2017, if I can remember, or thereabout, to how many now? 63. Or is it 50-something billion dollars?
Almost 60. We rounded it up to 60, 59.2, 59.3.
Right. So I was talking to SFL last night, and I'm like, the thing about the Gambia is we will have a beautiful project. When them soma, new sample guy, toilet buy jar 15,000.
Tax office inaugurate nañ ko de. Te ñepp ko ciow.
Let me give you that analogy.
Why toilet
ñu ne legi then what are some public toilet in Soma? It's going to cost $15,000. So there is a budget for 15,000. But the actual implementation ak yooyu noonu yëpp si budget bi la bokk. Then waa ji amee 6-cylinder motor in Banjul. Mina harama def si essence 3,000, so that's 12,000. Mina harama génne si ndewo. Harama def si nangam. By the time they get to actually implementing the project, there is $2,000 is left out of the 15. And that is the type of governance we have. We have all these monies that are being, solicited from the Gambian taxpayers. And all this money goes towards service implementation, that actually implementing the service itself. It goes through the process of implementing the services. And an example of this would be this. You go to their offices, you see the type of vehicles that they're driving. Again, where is the logic in that? You are leading one of the poorest countries in this world. If everyone should be able to enjoy a little bit of luxury and not limited to a certain people. So, the modern drive, the new fini. You know how many civil servants, students we've seen in the road, lift? It's a lot. And then a state minister or a director or whatever is giving 2 luxurious cars, 1 office car, 1 utility car at the tune of $6 or $7 million. Again, where is the logic in providing the service to the people? Because if you are using state resources to be able to help improve the lives of Gambians, then you should be very rational in the way that you implement that you utilize those state resources. And this is why APP Sobeya is talking about having a lean and efficient government. And these are some of the policies that we spend most of our time, because ESA does the talking, and then we spend most of our time researching and bringing policies that would enable us to start working from day one when we are employed. Peter,
but again, you talk about how our culture, affects the way we perceive corruption. If the farmer does not understand how this word corruption, is responsible for his groundnut being bought at $38,000, he'll probably never relate to, the issue of corruption. He would also send his son or daughter to school to say, demal nga janga nasko defe bes ñew yowin nga don minister génné ñu ci suñ choono bi. Because that's how they perceive, being a minister. I mean, you and I here understand that once you become a minister, the likelihood of you being corrupt is much higher than you keeping your moral stance. It's the absolute truth.
True, and I agree.
So the farmer has to understand how corruption, all right, might have been, a key player in government fixing the price for the 3rd year running at only $38,000.
Right.
In the meantime, the dollar has gone up. We are told up by 50%. It means that what they sold the groundnut they bought for $38,000 last year would fetch them more dollars, this year, which only makes sense that because you are making more dollars out of the groundnut you are buying from the farmer, give him some incentive, even if it is just 10% of the additional dollars you're getting.
Have you ever find out where that groundnut that the government is buying is going into?
Where it's going?
Yeah.
It's going to China, and we're being told that they don't even use it, for human consumption.
Well, I believe half of it goes back to the farmer in the form of Jew. So our farmers in the Gambia have been kept in a perpetual cycle of poverty. There has not...
By what? By the corruption of our governments?
Not only the corruption, but the very act of the entire cycle of agricultural protection.
We need to make this concept of corruption very clear to the farmer so that they understand it. So that when APP Sobeya goes to them and says, "Lita ngeen war ñoo dugal ci nguur gi mooy ñu mun fee génnee corruption," because I still don't think that the concept of corruption has been explained to people who do not have the privilege that you and I have of being educated. You say to me corruption, I see the signs all over the place. The farmer sees the same signs, but the farmer never reads corruption out of the same signs.
But when it comes to corruption and farming, it is intertwined with politics in the rural areas.
Yeah, but it's corruption. Make it explain it to them.
Again, my understanding would be
it's the same here.
No.
They can use education, all right, to convince me that this is why you should keep us here, because we all know that we need education. But the way they put it there, you can see the corruption in there.
But again, it brings us to the discretion part of it. If the government of the Gambia is rolling out fertilizer project for the benefit of the farmers, there shouldn't be any discretion in that. Gambian.
Now you are speaking their language.
Right. No.
Béykat bi soxla na tos.
Waaw.
At bu nekk mu wéeru ci nguur gi ne soo leen ñu jàppale ci engrais bi de moom dafay nangam. Léegi exactly. Use the engrais, the tos.
Exactly.
Right?
So as political weapon.
As a peg.
Exactly. Yeah. So da nga gis ne fofu nonu la discretion bi nekk because there is no clarity as to what the farmer is entitled and what the farmer is not entitled and how the farmer goes about accessing these services. Peter, I read the Jawara Station project and both in the A7. Wow. And then I also read a very important document from the 80s and the early 90s about the extension field workers in Gambia. Farming has gone dead in the Gambia because béykat bi léegi daanaka gisaatuñ njëriñ ci lu moo béy.
It's gone dead again. Yeah, if you want to ask the why. Why has farming gone dead in this country?
Exactly. So we have to look at it at various angles. See, agriculture has evolved. There are new methods, there are new techniques. There is climate change, there is very little rain, water, there is deforestation, our water retention level in the soil, they are all eroded. What made it different during the Jawara time was the extension field workers, because these are local experts that were implanted within these communities to help guide and work with the farmers to yield and boost their productions. So the sad realities of the Gambian farmer, especially in Degi,
extension workers. What happened to them? You said they existed during the Jawara era. We know that between Jawara and Barrow, there was Jame. So what happened to these extension workers during the Jame era?
Well, they disappeared from our communities.
Okay. So that's not the fault of Barrow.
But well, I think that to some degree there were a little bit of veterinary servicing still now existing.
No,
but the agricultural extension workers
before Barrow came. I mean, you can't blame Barrow for their
but again,
disappearance.
If we entrust Barrow to govern us, we would have assumed if agriculture is the backbone economic for rural Gambia, then you would have created ways and avenues in which you are going to help these communities adopt to current realities, both climatical, and resource management. Okay? So the realities of the Gambian farmer danga base gerte nga am bena ton ñaari ton. You go and sell it to the government. It takes December to January, sometimes up to February to receive your money. There are no financial education or access to the formal financial sector within this country, like a farmer's bank, where the farmer would actually say, "Anma 60,000 to small production bini. Let me go and deposit 20,000, and then probably next now that 20,000 would guarantee me another 20,000." Just like how credit unions are operating. These are important. They give them the bulk of the money. Feka korget bi yahuna ñu dem defar korget bi ñu dem takaseet ñu dem jënd lal bu es jënd satellite ak TV fix. Right. So and then by the time the next raining season starts, they are at square zero. So ñu dem lebi jiw again. Sun lebe jiw ñu ñoo def ko. Like again, you as a government, you understand that this is the cycle in which my people operate. Peter, nga yore nguur dafa melni nga nekk a family head yore sa njaboot. Sometimes you have to actually show them the right direction because all great revolution starts from there. Tey ñun gerte bi ak cotton bi, it was introduced to us to start producing it because dafa amon export value. And now that export value is no longer there, what are some of the things that would bring money and value to our farmers? These are the new methods that should be introduced to the farmers.
Later on. We have used farming, just as an example. There are so many other, ways that corruption is affecting our people. Health, education. make this, easily understandable to, you come from Farafenni, your people in Farafenni. I mean, we are not, sounding condescending here, but, I think opportunities are greater in the greater Banjul area than they are in, the outbacks of the country, if you like.
I will shout out to the Farafenni diaspora community. About 3 years ago, none of the street lights in Farafenni was working. So the diaspora community decides to come together and says, look, we need to do these street light projects in Farafenni. And in a matter of 3 weeks, people in Farafenni were able to raise $1.6 million. I ordered most of the lights from China, and we were able to implement it. So I took 2 things from that project.
Who is ensuring the sustainability of that initiative?
Well,
unless maybe these are all solar lights.
Not solar. It was a very difficult push and push at the start, but we end up having a concession with the council because NAWEC. I spoke to Nani. Danny was the director of NAWEC, and Nani says we need to speak to the council.
He's not the Minister of Petroleum and Energy.
And Nani says, well, we need to speak to the council. They owe us money, and if you bring in electric street lights, this is not our responsibility as NAWEC to put street lights on. It should be the council. And I went to Bojang. Molamin was there at the moment. I'm like, Mr. Bojang, I campaigned for you to become the chairman. If these lights are not up, the next election you're coming down. Because I will make sure that I come back and campaign vigorously for you. But in a light-hearted...
Is that not corruption in a way?
No, but I am demanding... Is
that not corruption in a way?
No, that is not corruption. Okay. But I am demanding a service that I am entitled to and the community is entitled to. And we had a very good relationships, and he understands deforestation that was there. It understands we are a border town. There are safety implications. And they should be able to illuminate things. Now, the reason why I brought that point is to show you what an effective leadership can do to a country. People always make reference of Singapore. People always make reference of how Japan came out after the Second World War.
Why are you citing Singapore?
It's the leadership. Because the leadership truly matters.
Tell us more about the leadership. Because then, people will be able to compare what we have with what Singapore had.
No.
Because you always hear people saying, we gained independence the same year. In fact, we gained it earlier than them because we had it in February. They had to wait.
But even Singapore is far. Just look at Senegal.
No. Let's stick with Singapore.
So, one thing I normally ask Gambians is, what has this government did that inspires you?
No, let's stick with
I am coming there.
Okay.
Well, and this is the fundamental question that I ask everyone. What did this government do that actually inspired you? Because again...
Well, they could say, well, now we are free. We sit here and bash Adama Barrow and go to bed and not have to, leave one eye open. You can't take, that away from him.
Credit to him for that. But I think most important...
So that's one very good thing.
But I think most importantly also credit to the Gambian people because they have gone through those lived realities and on the journey and do not wish to live under such a reality anymore. And I think even if Barrow wanted something else different, it was going to be very difficult to achieve such dictatorial tendencies running this country again.
You don't think if Jammeh were to come, he would just walk straight to State House and impose the same things on us?
No, he can never have that leverage anymore because a lot of Gambians are more aware now because of the advent of internet, the access to information, and all those things. Until Jammeh left, like in the provinces, lots of them do not have smartphones. Now you go to any of the grand bantabas, they are listening to Sonko or they are listening, they will tell you about politics.
They only listen to car all day. That's why, educating them is a challenge.
Exactly. Now, if you look at the government of the Gambia, how do you inspire your people? It's to create programs that enable people.
Let me just finish with the comparison because it's key. There's something I'm waiting to hear. You talked about the difference in leadership. And we all know about Singapore. Yeah. We all know how Lee Kuan Yew was able to stamp out corruption. I mean, he may not have achieved it 100%, but at least 90 to 95% of the way government was running was corruption free.
Right. So it's to bring the idea of what the public official is. You know, Lee started by saying that I am going to demand great sacrifice from the people of Singapore in order to build this country. And, you know, good leaders learn from each other. I've just listened to Ousmane Sonko recently, and he said the same thing in his Dakar rally or Terra
So how
meeting.
did Lee inspire everybody to sacrifice?
Exactly. So it's the effective leadership. A leader should be able to inspire their people. And it starts by being honest, and it starts by being transparent. We have to be honest about our situation, both economic and finances, and we have to be transparent to the Gambian people as to our realities. And most importantly, our actions should be in conformity with that transparency.
Yeah, transparency is one thing. You can be transparent even about your own corruption. You can be transparent that, they gave me 1 million, but unfortunately I used it. That's transparency, isn't it? Isn't it about tolerance? Lee Kuan Yew was intolerant of corruption.
No. Well, true. He was intolerant of corruption.
Know how he dealt with, in other countries, when people are even accused of corruption, they are either interdicted or they are called into question. But here, it's the reverse.
Yes.
You accuse Ousainou, Bobb, Minister of Territorial Integrity, of whatever. And how does government respond? Prove it.
Exactly. Again.
So that's the difference. Here, the accuser bears the burden of proof. There, because they have a servant system. Well, once somebody points their hand at you, the finger at you, they start looking into your activities.
Right. No.
Isn't that what we are missing here?
No. Is it applicable in a Gambian context?
Is it applicable?
That is the question. And that's why...
Well, you should know, you're the expert. Is it applicable?
Yes.
If APP Sobea came to power, is this something they can easily apply?
Yes. We're going to make it very difficult to even get access to the resources, much more embezzle it.
Already, I know ministries that complain that syndicator is so strict that even allocations to them, they have difficulty accessing. So that is already happening. You have a finance minister who does not just dish out money like that.
But again, it's not only about the allocation. It's the way that they applied or the applicability of those resources. That's where some of these malpractices occur through procurement, through servicing of state vehicles, through service or running day-to-day running activities of the ministry. That's where most of these monies are being wasted on, and rather than actually providing the services. But what we need to understand is, I've said this earlier, if we want to apply theory into the context of the Gambia, then we risk having a very ineffective anti-corruption. And what we end up having, it's going after one bad apple to another, putting them in jail or putting them elsewhere else, but without actually addressing the problem. How do we address this problem as Gambians? That's what matters.
All right. I'll ask you in a bit. Let me just break in here again.